Who or what is the stranger? This remains one of the biggest mysteries in The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. The identity of the Meteor Man, the tall bearded man who fell from the sky and has befriended the Harfoot, Nori Brandyfoot. And there have been countless theories on who he could be, ranging from a brand new character created by Amazon to the Dark Lord Sauron himself. And after 3 episodes, we are still guessing. But with all the clues that have been laid out before us, it might not remain a mystery for much longer. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, I cover The Lord of the Rings, House of the Dragon, Harry Potter, The Witcher, and so much more. If you're into all that and you like what you see on the channel, please consider subscribing. But yes, the Stranger, the Meteor Man, as fans have dubbed him. The stranger that fell from the sky in the meteor that was seen by many important figures of Middle-earth. However, the comet crashed before the smallest people in Middle-earth, the Harfoots. One in particular, the friendly yet adventurous Eleanor Nori Brandyfoot. And she wants to help the tall bearded figure, who she has summarised is no elf nor man. And he's too tall to be a dwarf, and he can't be an orc or a troll, as he has been out in the sunlight. As Nori says, he is special. He is clearly a magical being of higher power. I think we can rule out the god of Tolkien's legendarium, Eru Iluvatar. He would not come to Middle-earth. Not like this, he's far too powerful, and he rarely intervenes in mortal affairs. And then we have the enigma Tom Bombadil, who is another candidate. But why would he come to Middle-earth in a meteor? He has been in Middle-earth long before the Second Age, perhaps even from the very beginning, before the Dark Lord Morgoth came to Arda. And then there's the legendary elf, Glorfindel, who returned to Middle-earth in the Second Age. But why would he appear as an old man? So I think we can write off them. And I think we can also write off the Valar, as they are just far too powerful. And after the War of Wrath, they wish to stay in Valinor, and not directly interfere in Middle-earth. So that leaves the Maiar as the chief suspects, who are spirits descended to Arda to help the Valar shape the world. These spirits are of lesser rank than the Valar, but themselves hold considerable power. There are many Maiar, but the most well-known are the beings that would become Sauron, Gandalf, Saruman, Radagast, the 2 Blue Wizards, and the Balrogs. But before we get into all this, I think we have to consider Amazon will be changing a lot of Tolkien's lore as they already have. There are no records in his books about a man falling from the sky in the Second Age. And it is said that Gandalf and the other Istari arrived in Middle-earth during the Third Age. However, in some of his writings, Tolkien did state the 2 Blue Wizards arrived in the Second Age. But I don't know if Amazon have the rights to use them. Peter Jackson didn't have the rights to mention their names, and that's why in The Hobbit Gandalf said he had forgotten their names. And it's also possible Amazon have created a brand new character concept, and everything comes from them. But personally, I feel the stranger will be a named Tolkien character. And the first suspect is the Dark Lord Sauron himself. And the first clue is when the meteor crashed into the ground, the impact left a crater, and the shape is very reminiscent of the Eye of Sauron. Supposedly Sauron has not been seen since his master Morgoth's defeat at the end of the First Age. But perhaps he is hiding in plain sight, and we've seen him many times without knowing it. And I've got a full video on my theories on who Sauron could be, so I will leave a link for that. But for this one, I'll quickly say I don't think he is the stranger. It's clear the crater was meant to somewhat resemble the Eye of Sauron. And the fact that Nori mentioned the fire was not hot is meant to take us back to what Galadriel said at the start of the first episode, in the Northern Waste. This place is so evil, our torches give off no warmth. We are supposed to associate these 2 moments, but we shouldn't say for definite that no heat equals evil. In the books, when the One Ring is removed from the fireplace at Bag End, it's still cool. Yet Gil-galad was severely burnt by the heat of Sauron's hand, and Gandalf was also burnt by the fires of Durin's Bane. So there are many arguments for Sauron, but I'm just not convinced. I think it is a red herring. And as for the Balrog, we have seen one in the trailer, but we don't know the context. It could be Durin's Bane, who is meant to be in Khazad-dûm, and will not awaken till the Third Age. Or it might be a brand new Balrog. The stranger could be a Balrog, as he has close ties to the element of fire. From his comet landing, fireflies burning off the paper, this cannot be a mere coincidence. Apart from the words that Nori has taught him, such as friend and her name, the only phrase that he has said is in the language Quenya, Mana Uri, which roughly translates as him asking or demanding to know what is fire, or what is heat. And it would be so tragic if Nori has brought a fire demon into the home of the Harfoots and causes a major disaster. And there have been many hints that the stranger could possess hints of evil. As the comet soared through the sky, a leaf from the great tree in Linden fell, and Gil-galad picked it up and noticed it was becoming corrupted by some sort of black substance, similar to what is happening in the Southlands with the poison grass and the cow. Perhaps the stranger is evil, perhaps he's hiding it, or he doesn't know that he's evil because he doesn't know who he is. But once he finds them stars, he remembers the truth. Maybe Sauron is framing him to keep the attention away from himself, or perhaps, like I said, it's just a red herring from the writers. He does share similar traits to Sauron and the Balrogs, but I think that is because he is of the same race. He is a Maiar, who has been sent by the Valar to aid against the upcoming threat posed by Sauron. He's looking for this constellation of stars that Nori tracked down in Sadok Burrows' book, but the pages were burnt before any of them could take a record of where it was. Perhaps these stars will lead them to the Southlands, where they can aid against Sauron. Remember, the Harfoots live north of Mordor, so perhaps their migration leads them through the gap that will one day become the Black Gate. Maybe a Region where the rings are being forged, or somewhere else important to the stranger's mission. Maybe a helping hand from the Valar to identify the stars will go a long way. Yes, a lot of bad stuff has happened when the stranger's been around. His magic ended up killing the fireflies, and when he got angry, Nori's dad fell and hurt himself. But I think that's because the stranger is not used to this form. His magic is wild, uncontrolled. He needs to learn to tame it. And all this bad stuff that's happening is just accidental. Because I don't think he's a Balrog, I don't think he's Sauron. This is my guess, and I know many people share this. He is one of the Istari, a wizard. And hold on before you start screaming, they didn't come to Middle-earth until the Third Age. I've already stated that Amazon are changing a lot of the lore, and in one of Tolkien's writings, the two blue wizards did come during the Second Age. But at the same time, I don't know if Amazon can use this because of the rights situation. But I definitely think the stranger is one of the 5 wizards. I don't think it's Saruman or Radagast. I think it's more likely one of the 2 blue wizards, or Gandalf himself. He looks like Gandalf. He's got a grey beard, big grey hair, and a grey cloak. And I think it would be rather silly if you tried to dress him up in a way looking like Gandalf for it not to be him. And you know I've always been against him being Gandalf. I suppose it's mostly because I can't see anyone other than Sir Ian McKellen being the Grey Wanderer. And I also felt it was kind of Amazon's way of playing on the relationship between Gandalf and the Hobbits. A cheap way to bring both of them into the story. But we will have to see how it plays out. But I think all signs point to a wizard. From Gandalf's connection to fire, which we can argue mostly is because he bears the ring Narya, the Ring of Fire. But this ring has not been forged yet, and Gandalf doesn't receive it until the Third Age, from Círdan the shipwright when he first arrives in the Grey Havens. Gandalf also claims to be a servant of the Secret Fire, wielder of the Flame of Arnor. The Secret Fire is also known as the Flame Imperishable, which is Eru Ilúvatar's power of creation, and the Flame of Arnor is some mysterious power Gandalf claims to wield. And that can be translated roughly into sun. So we could say that Gandalf is referring to himself being a servant of good, whilst the Balrog, wielding the Flame of Undun, the dark fire of Morgoth, is evil. We could go down these rabbit holes all day, but what we can safely say is Gandalf and the stranger both have close ties to the element of fire. And then we have to look at the markings and the runes the stranger writes on the rocks and trees, one of which is very similar to the one that Gandalf leaves on Bilbo's front door. Or how he expresses his power, which is very, very similar to how Gandalf does this in front of Bilbo. And then we have to look at how he speaks to the Fireflies. And probably the most prominent one is the whole relationship with the Harfoots, which is an echo to Gandalf's relationship with the Hobbits, and Nori being Bilbo and Frodo in this case. Personally, I think Gandalf is the number 1 candidate right now. It could be a blue wizard, but it's hard to see past Gandalf. But as for a blue wizard, that is my most preferable choice. Of course, there's only one of them right now, so where's the other one? I think the stranger is definitely a Maiar, and I think he is definitely one of the 5 that come to Middle-earth, disguised as old men. Perhaps that is why he's confused, as this form is new to him. He's still getting used to having a body that closely resembles an old man, just as Gandalf and the other wizards had to deal with as well. But yes, after 3 episodes, Gandalf and the 2 blue wizards are my top choices. But I want you guys to post your thoughts. I know many others have discussed this, but I wanted to share my opinions. And last time we seen the stranger, he was helping Nori and her family move their caravan. and some trailers have shown they bump into a pack of wolves on the migration. And more of the stranger's powers will soon be revealed, and perhaps more clues to who he really is. But yes, Rings of Power episode 4 tonight, so make sure you come back for that. But for now, I'll say thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.